Hi there, listener, and welcome to episode 295 of the Ski Podcast. Thanks for joining us for the second of our special Winter Olympic episodes. I'm your host, Iain Martin, and in today's episode, I speak with Eddie the Eagle Edwards, who, at the 1988 Calgary Games, became famous across the world for having the courage and determination to take on the challenge of Olympic ski jumping. Eddie might have finished 55th and in last place, but his story resonated with millions of people across the planet. So much so that his story was made into a movie in 2015 starring Hugh Jackman and Taron Edgerton. Now, I spoke to Eddie about flying to movie premieres in private jets, how he's disappointed that Team GB seemed to disown him, and the parallels he sees in the determination to compete shown by Lindsey Vonn. I hope you enjoy our chat. I'll be back with Emily on Monday with our review of the weekend's action in the downhill and ski slopestyle, and we'll look forward to the final of the women's snowboard big air. Hi Eddie, great to chat again. We've spoken on the podcast several times before, most recently at the ski show a couple of years ago. Now, we've spoken about the movie before. I really love that movie. It's such a feel-good film. My kids love it as well. And when I spoke to you last, I think you told me you've watched that film about 150 times. Has that number gone up now?
It has gone up, yeah. It's now around about 164 times. Although they did show the film last Sunday, right after Ski Sunday. I didn't watch it then, but yes, I have watched it quite a few times. I know just about every scene, every bit of dialogue. It still brings a tear to my eye even now, and I absolutely love the film. They did a great job. Taron played me so well, and yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, in fact, you mentioned before, and yeah, some of our listeners might have heard the interview that we did before, but I think it's worth recovering those points. You mentioned Taron, played you so well. I think you told me at the time he met you just once and then completely nailed your voice and your mannerisms from that.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I went down to Pinewood Studios once they agreed to start making the film. Taron wanted to get an idea of my accent and my mannerisms, and he was filming another movie down in Pinewood. So I went down to Pinewood Studios. I spent about 3 hours with him one afternoon. We were drinking tea and coffee and eating cake, and he had a video camera pointing at me as well. And we were just chatting. And from that, and also from videos that he'd watched, obviously at the Olympic Games and interviews that I've done as well, he really, really got me down so well. He sounded like me. He acted like me. He had all my mannerisms. And of course, he looked like me. He had the moustache, the glasses, the hair and everything else. And it was brilliant. He made the film so easy to watch because he played me so well.
Well, who would have thought it? As good at imitating other people. That was at Pinewood. I think you went onto the set at some point, and when you went, Hugh Jackman actually asked for a selfie with you.
That's right. Yeah, I was invited down to watch them film a couple of the scenes, and a lot of it was filmed in and around Garmisch-Partenkirchen. And so I went down there and spent the weekend there, watched them film a couple of the scenes. But as soon as I walked on set for the very first time, Taron turned round and he saw me, and my jaw just dropped because I couldn't believe how much he looked like me. And then Hugh Jackman turned around and he pointed at me and said, "Eddie, quickly, I want a selfie." And he came rushing over, and I thought, oh my God, pinch me. So I made sure I got my camera ready as well. And we were just taking selfies for each other. It was lovely. He was a lovely guy. And I spent more time with them when we were promoting the film, because I went to about 15 different premieres around the world. So we were flying everywhere by private jet, 5-star hotels and all that kind of thing. And that's when I spent most of my time with them when we were promoting the film.
And I think, if anyone has seen the film, they'll know it's a fantastic watch. But they might wonder if everything they see actually happened. I think I read somewhere that you said 90% of it is made up.
In very broad terms, I think it's about 90% true, but it only represents probably about 5% of my life as a skier and as a ski jumper and everything else. But the only thing that didn't happen in the film was I didn't get drunk and miss the opening ceremonies. But there was a bit of animosity within the team because some members of the team were saying, well, I'm better at my sport than Eddie is at his. Why is he getting all this attention? And of course, it was only because I got christened Eddie the Eagle at Calgary and it just exploded. So in the film, they had to pretend to go off and get me drunk and create that animosity, when really it was just because I got called Eddie the Eagle.
Well, that is interesting because that was one of my questions for later on, but let's bring it in now because as we speak today, the opening ceremony takes place in Milan tomorrow. And you mentioned the movie isn't fully accurate because in the movie you don't make the opening ceremony, but you were there, weren't you? And what
Oh,
stands
yes.
out about that? Can you
Oh, yeah,
recall from '88?
absolutely. I remember it all. And it was the opening ceremonies, really, for me, that was the eye opener. It was, the realization. I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is the Olympics, because we were sat in the stadium watching all the things going on for the opening ceremony, and then the athlete came in, carrying the Olympic torch, and he ran around and ran up the steps and lit the Olympic flame. And I thought, wow, this is it. I'm actually here. And I was going to miss that for love nor money, and it was amazing.
Fantastic. And I've been watching videos of a lot of our athletes who are out in Milan Turin just now. And a lot of them have been doing this unboxing of all of their GB kit. Did you get this whole swag of GB kit when you went out in 1988?
Oh, well, actually, yeah, we did get a lot of kit. I flew back once I knew that I was going to Calgary. I flew home to London and went to Olympic House, and they gave me two big suitcases, which I took home. And when I opened it, oh my word, to lift up my Olympic tracksuit and put it on, and my Olympic tie and my Olympic blazer and all that kind of thing. It was great. And we had different coats as well, and scarves and caps and hats and all that kind of thing. We did get quite a bit of stuff. Whether they get more now than we got like 40 years ago, I'm not quite sure. We were sponsored, I think, by C&A back in 38 years ago. The clothing wasn't of the best quality because it was C&A, and I'm not quite sure who supplies all the equipment and all the clothing now.
Well, I think it's Adidas now, but that C&A stuff, I had a jumper around that era from C&A, and if I had it now, from a vintage point of view, it'd be worth a fortune anymore.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've still got my Olympic uniform, and actually my Olympic tracksuit still fits. I can still put it on, and I'm thinking, I wonder how many athletes from 40 years ago can still wear their Olympic uniform and their Olympic tracksuits. So it's amazing. I gave some of my Olympic uniform to the Olympic Museum in Lausanne, and over the next sort of 10 years I might actually donate all my Olympic uniform to the Olympic Museum. I prefer it to go there than sell it on the open market, and then people try and sort of bid and make money out of what is my kind of well-earned memorabilia, really.
Well, that's quite interesting thinking about the vintage side of things, because I know you're working with Readly. That's a digital magazine and newspaper app. And they've actually just launched a retro Winter Olympics Games series. And that covers some of the most memorable moments in Winter Olympic history. Now, I saw they had a survey that placed you third in memorable moments behind the Jamaican bobsleigh team, also in 1988, and then Torville and Dean in '84. Would you agree with that ranking?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I feel very honoured, really, to be, in the sort of top three of most memorable Olympic moments. And, I did Dancing on Ice about 2 years ago. So I met Torville and Dean, and they were lovely. And, it rightly so. They did a fantastic Olympics in 1984 in Sarajevo, doing that, that routine, Bolero. And I still remember it today. And even when I listen to the music, I can imagine them skating around. And the Jamaican bobsled team, of course, was the same Olympics for me as me, Calgary. And then we had Robin Cousins in 1980 in Lake Placid. That was a memorable moment because we had a few Olympics where we did quite well at figure skating, and even sort of more modern ones with Lizzie Arnold. She was the first lady to actually keep her gold medal for 2 Olympics on the trot in skeleton. So there's a lot of very good, memorable moments, and I'm very proud to be a part of that saga, really.
Oh, well, I'll put a link in the show notes to that. You mentioned some of the medals that Great Britain have won before at the Winter Olympics. But let's turn to these Winter Olympics. We have some tremendous medal chances. Now, I'm not sure if you saw this, but earlier this week, I think I read GB Snowsports CEO Vicky Gosling was quoted as saying, "The Eddie the Eagle days are over." Now, I
Ooh.
think I think what she means is it's no longer about Britain coming last, but competing for the medals. But to me, it seems a little harsh because, to my mind, your experience in 1988, in that we see a lot of the same principles at play now. They're striving to achieve something on the world stage, being challenged by a limited budget, using your determination to succeed against established bigger nations. Do you think that today's British athletes can draw lessons from your own experience?
Oh, I think so, yes. And it's a shame that the authorities like the British Ski Federation, the British Olympic Association still kind of look at me in a bit of a negative light because, for everybody else, the ordinary everyday men in the street loved what I did, loved what I represented. It's only people in officialdom that think I was making a mock of the sport and bringing the sport into disrepute and bringing the Olympics into disrepute. Everybody else was saying, no, this is what the Olympics is all about. I was exemplifying that Olympic ideal. I was this tiny little athlete representing this little David of a country competing against these Goliath nations of ski jumping. And I had no snow, I had no ski jumps, I had no money, no training, no equipment. And yet I was competing with some of the best jumpers in the world. And that is what the Olympics is all about. And I think that's what people remember. And it was that resilience, that tenacity, that determination. And those are very, very important qualities, which is why I feel very humbled and very honoured to be part of that, one of the top three, Olympic special moments. Because I didn't win a medal, far from it. But everybody else did. But it was just as important. And it's a shame that the authorities still kind of look at me in a bit more of a negative light.
Absolutely. I mean, I do agree with you there. To me, your story is inspiring. There might be comedic aspects to it that were played up in the movie, but we're talking about overcoming the odds and achieving something. And, to anyone who wants to undermine that achievement, I suggest they go to the top of a ski jump and see what the view is like, because I've been up there before and it's pretty damn terrifying, I can tell you.
That's right. And that's why when, I couldn't control what journalists wrote about me, but I was quite willing to give them a story. And, if they wrote something a little bit negative, I didn't mind, because I knew at the end of the day that they wouldn't go and stand at the top of that ski jump, put some skis on and go down a 90-meter ski jump. So I always had that to fall back on. They could say what they like, but they wouldn't do what I did. And so, you just grow a thick skin. And it was more important that they wrote about me, even if I didn't really like very much what they wrote, the fact that they wrote about me, because then I was hoping then to turn that into sponsorship and make it easier for me to carry on competing at ski jumping. And so, you can't really control everything in life.
You can't. I think it may have been Oscar Wilde who said there's only one thing worse than being talked about, and that's not being talked about.
Yes.
But finally, can I ask you about Lindsey Vonn? I'm sure she has confirmed that she plans to race in the women's downhill on Sunday, despite rupturing her ACL last Friday. Now, I realise she's a multiple Olympic medalist, but do you see something of the determination that you brought to the Games, pressing ahead despite all the odds being against you there?
Oh, absolutely. And I wish her all the best. I thought when I read that story, I thought that's it. She's not going to be at the Olympic Games. It's, career over, really. But to hear that she's actually going to try and compete with a ruptured, ligament in her knee, especially in the downhill, which is so fast and furious and you have to be so powerful. I hope that, she actually survives the run in the first place. If she does well or even wins, I mean, that would just be incredible.
She might push you down to fourth in the all-time ranking of great winter Olympics.
I won't mind at all.
That is fantastic, Eddie. Really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure you'll be popping up on our screens over the next couple of weeks as well. That's great, Eddie. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed my interview with Eddie the Eagle Edwards. That's it for now. If you're a first-time listener, can I recommend that you subscribe to the Ski Podcast now so you never miss an episode? And if you enjoyed this episode and you want to help the Ski Podcast, don't forget you can use the code SKIPODCAST when you book your ski hire at insportrent.com and you'll save yourself some money. I'll put a link in the show notes which you can take for your discount to be automatically applied. Right, for now, I'd like to thank my special guest today, Eddie the Eagle Edwards, and finally, listener, thank you for joining us wherever in the world you're listening right now. And until next time, goodbye.